I just want to start by thanking the Vikings organization. Really proud to be a part of it for as long as I have and into the future. Um, Ziggy, Mark, and Lenny Wilf. Uh, I love playing for their organization, and I really appreciate the work that Rick Spielman, Rob Brzezinski um, put into this deal, as well as Athletes First and my agents over there. Um, I also have to say how much I appreciate playing for Zim over all these years and how much I learned from him, playing in his defense and playing for him as a head coach, as well as every other coach I've had throughout the process. Um, and the teammates, the teammates I've had have been phenomenal since I came into Minnesota in 2012, and I've learned a ton from a lot of them, defense, offense, whatever. Um, and to play as long as I have and to continue playing, it's not just an individual thing. It's a team thing. So I'm very, very grateful to those that have helped me along the way.
You get a contract extension that's probably going to allow you to play however many more years you want to. Was that like the top priority of like having a deal that you could, if you want to retire after 4 more years or keep going, that was what you got?
Yeah, it's always hard to look too far into the future in the NFL. I think one of the things that has allowed me to have pretty constant success is just focusing on the now. And like contracts isn't something. It's not something I have worried about in my career, and it's allowed me to just focus on playing football, and those things tend to take care of themselves. So I still have that approach, but I understand the reality of getting older in the league as well. But being able to be a Viking for my career was the most important.
You'll be close to 37 when your existing contract that you just signed runs out. I mean, is it realistic to think you're still playing at 37 or even beyond? Do you think about that, or?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I think when I signed in 2016, you at the time you think, will I be able to play, at a high level throughout this entire deal? So, like I said, focusing on the now is what has allowed me to play my best football. So I'm just going to continue to do that.
As you think about how you're playing now, like, is it possible for you to evaluate how it compares physically to where you were at as a rookie? Like, I mean, how do you feel physically, what you can do on the field compared to the beginning of your career?
Yeah, I feel good. I mean, I think every player you ever ask, like, how do you feel? They're like, oh, it's the best I've ever felt in my career. I tell people I felt terrible playing in college. Like, I felt like I was run down. So I've always felt better in the league. And I still feel that way. So, my game is, I still make a lot of plays, still play at a high level, and I plan on continuing that.
Why do you think that is? I mean, you played more in the NFL, more games, and you've played longer. Why do you think that it was about feeling more run down in college?
I think it's more of an annual schedule. You kind of get run down there, where the pros, you're more of an investment to the organization. You need to take care of yourselves and be there on game day.
You mentioned not worrying about contracts much in your career, but Zimmer said that this was a negotiation that lasted a while. Were you, I don't know, thinking about it, nervous at any point, wondering if it was going to get done or if and when it was going to get done?
Yeah, I mean, you obviously think about it, but I don't get too wrapped up in it because I know it's not. I'm not negotiating a contract. I'm playing football, so all I can control is tackling and covering and doing those things. So I'm just going to take care of my end of the deal and let everyone else figure out the rest.
How's it feel to be the second highest paid safety, though, in the NFL on a new money basis?
Feels good. Obviously it's a great thing. But number one was staying with the Vikings.
Your 5-year Pro Bowl streak ended. Is there any incentive to, get back to the Pro Bowl or at least some of those accolades that you are way up in the upper echelon of safeties again?
Yeah, I mean, it's always nice to get those things. Sometimes I don't know if they make sense, but I'll just keep trying to play at a high level. The rest can figure that stuff out.
Do you take some pride, though, knowing the fact, like, of the type of deal you got when the safety position just over the last few years has been, I guess, maybe undervalued, where they're not getting paid as much as what you just got? Do you feel some pride in kind of carrying that torch, that this is still a lucrative position for guys in the NFL?
Yeah, and I think really when I came into the league, it was very undervalued, and you've seen it climb over the years, and I think just like every position, it'll continue to climb, and I think you see how many playmakers there are at safeties and how safeties can impact ball games. So it's important.
Several teammates have returned and said that they thought maybe the grass was greener at another organization. Did you check with those guys as you were away and locking it in for another several years here?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't necessarily check with them, but that's something I've grown to understand over the years, because I've seen it happen many times. And I talked to other guys around the league and what it's like in their locker rooms and things like that. And we've always had a special locker room. We have a lot of guys that are close, a lot of guys that look after each other, and that's for a reason. That starts at how you draft guys, how you scout guys. So it definitely helps to be a part of a group like that, where you look out for one another on and off the field.
And so many of that core remains in place, even though the rest of the secondary kind of changed this offseason too, right? Like having that core constant with you, even though the rest of the defense in the back end is different now.
Yeah, and the guys we added a lot of talent, a lot of smart guys, and we've all mixed in pretty well. So I'm excited about the group that we have and what we can do.
But you can talk about your age and how you feel physically and stuff, but what just keeps you loving the game, that keeps you wanting to come back and keep playing?
It's just there's always a new challenge. I'm a pretty competitive guy, so in the off season I end up trying to find other things to be competitive at, and but football has always had a special place with me ever since I was a kid. So if I mess up a play in practice, I think about it for the rest of the day. I watch there's one yesterday or a couple days ago where you think about it for a while, you watch the clip, and I think I'll always have that, and it's kind of a good thing and a bad thing sometimes.
And then I know he played a different position, but with Terence obviously playing into his late 30s, have you talked to him, or did you learn anything from him when he was here just about prolonging your career?
Yeah, I try to stay in touch with Terence, and watching him go about the seasons and the off seasons, I think he was 39 his last year playing corner, which I'm still not sure how he was able to manage that, but he really took care of himself and knew what his body needed. It's not the same for everybody. It's not the same for every position, and he knew what he needed to get done on game days. So he prepared his body accordingly, and so I've definitely learned a lot from him in that regard. Sometimes doing a lot of extra things might not pay off how you want it to. It might just become more of a burden, and that was kind of his approach to things. He was always ready on game day, and I'll continue to reach out to him.
Harrison, how bad?
What is it about Zim that you like playing? I'm sure he's not everyone's cup of tea as a player.
Yeah, he's. I think he nailed it. But when he came in here, I'd played a couple years, and I'd played all right. But when he came in, I kind of realized I didn't know that much about football, and I've really learned a ton since he came in, not just as a safety, but as kind of a broader view of how the game is played offensively and defensively, what the line is doing, what the linebackers are doing, how corners see things, how offenses are trying to attack certain schemes. So just growing knowledge of the game is something I noticed immediately. And he's always stayed on me. He's always kind of let me know that Darren Woodson was his guy, his best safety. So I've always kind of been chasing Woody in that regard, and continue to do so. But Zim keeps me honest, man. So that's it's always been a pleasure to play for him.
Harrison, in the years from when you started to now, how has the game, I guess, gotten more challenging to play safety? How do you expect that to continue?
Yeah, it's definitely changed, and it changes every year. Obviously, the targeting rules are hard for safeties. I think probably more than any other position, just because the angles and the speed and the reaction time. That's something I'm always trying to get better at, and I think I have gotten a lot better at it. But there's still some things I can improve on in that area. So I'd say that's the number one thing. Offenses, spread you out a little more than they used to, but it's always a constant. It's just always evolving and going back to what it was 20 years ago, and then something new. So you just gotta stay on top of it and kind of see what the flavor of the year is, basically, which is also a fun aspect to it.
You mentioned how bad you kind of feel for Irv Smith. He looked like he was poised for a breakout season, and now he's been sidelined by that meniscus injury.
Yeah, I don't know the full details, but he's having a great camp, and hope the best for him, and definitely hope he gets back.
You mentioned when Zimmer gets here, feeling like he didn't know that much about football. Is that kind of a weird thing to admit or realize after coming from a prestigious college, being a high pick, being in the league for a couple of years?
Not really. Just because he's always innovating new ways to get to the quarterback, to cover things, and I still don't know everything now, so I'll continue to learn from him. Yeah, it's really just been a constant source of learning. Yeah.
Now that you've had a month or so of actually seeing Cam Bynum in practice, where has he made the biggest strides in changing from corner to safety?
To be honest, I didn't watch a ton of him at corner in college, but.
Do you have those tendencies though that you would notice that's a corner trying to learn how to play safety for the first time?
No, not really. I mean, he can cover well, so that's a good thing. But he's with safeties, you kind of have to be thinking about formations and communicating and constantly trying to help other guys out while getting yourself aligned. And he's had that. I think the number one thing that young safeties kind of struggle with is the constant communication, because it's every play, it's all the time, and you can't rest on it. And things get chaotic during the game, and you have to stay on top of it. So that's where young guys can grow the most, and he's done a great job at that. He's always studying. I see him at lunch, watching film on his own. He's always asking questions, so he's definitely doing some good things.
Do anything to celebrate last night?
Not really. My wife got me some cookies, so yeah, nothing crazy. I didn't have the mango ice last night, unfortunately.
What's your go-to cookie?
I just like your basic chocolate chip with sugar. Yeah, pretty simple.